Welcome back to the channel. Get ready, because today's story is easily one of the most explosive royal bombshells we've covered all year. Prince Harry is reportedly blindsided, shaken, and privately furious after new whispers resurfaced about Meghan Markle's mysterious yacht party days and her rumored connection to Prince Andrew long before she ever met Harry. These revelations are sending shockwaves across royal watchers, palace insiders, and even some of Meghan's own former Hollywood circles. But what's fact, what's speculation, and what exactly has left Harry so stunned? Stay tuned, because we're breaking down the full story, the timeline, the hidden players, and the secret details that are suddenly being dragged back into the spotlight. And trust me, this is one video you'll want to watch all the way to the end. The royal world is buzzing again, and this time, it's not because of a new Netflix series, a book deal, or another celebrity-packed event. Instead, it's because Prince Harry has reportedly stumbled onto information he never expected to confront. Information tied to Meghan Markle's past. Information tied to yachts, billionaires, Hollywood connections, and most shockingly, to Prince Andrew. This latest wave of revelations didn't just shake the public narrative, it's alleged to have shaken Harry at his core. Because buried beneath the glamorous stories, the tabloid whispers, and the decade-old rumors, Harry is said to have discovered details about Meghan's early career days that were never fully explained to him. And what's worse, the whispers involve Andrew, long before Andrew's scandals ever exploded into the global spotlight. To understand how we got here, we need to break down the entire chain of events. The rumors, the resurfaced testimonies, the Hollywood chatter, and how all of this managed to land directly in Harry's lap years after he thought he knew everything about his wife's past. The story begins not in London, not in Montecito, but somewhere completely different, aboard luxury yachts in the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, and even the West Coast. Before Meghan Markle was a duchess, she was an actress in a fiercely competitive industry. That much is well known. But less widely discussed are the years she spent trying to get invited into the right rooms and the right social circles that would open the doors of Hollywood. It's during this period that stories began to appear, stories involving yacht parties, celebrity guests, wealthy businessmen, and networks of young actresses hoping for their big break. None of this was unusual in Hollywood. Many rising actors attended lavish events as networking opportunities. But what makes this particular story explosive today is that someone in those circles has allegedly resurfaced and claims Meghan was present during yacht events connected not just to Hollywood figures, but to international elites. And among those elites, at least according to the resurfaced chatter, was Prince Andrew. Once these whispers reached Harry, said one insider, he was left stunned. Not because he believed everything outright, but because he couldn't understand why these details, even if only rumors, had never been mentioned to him before. Let's go back in time to Meghan's early 20s. Before suits, before fame, before the royal wedding. Meghan had big ambitions, and she was surrounded by people who encouraged her to mingle with top-tier influencers, producers, and financiers. Many aspiring actors found themselves invited to yacht events hosted by wealthy businessmen. These yachts weren't simply parties, they were networking hubs, social mixers, places where connections were formed and careers could be advanced with a single conversation. Meghan participated in Hollywood's social ecosystem like countless actors did. But one particular yacht story has come roaring back into the spotlight, a story suggesting that Meghan had been invited to a Mediterranean yacht trip organized by connections with ties to royal circles. At the time, no one paid much attention to who else was on board. But now, in 2025, this narrative has resurfaced, and the name being attached to the same event is unsettling: Andrew. Now, let's be clear. This story is murky, contradictory, and filled with as many doubts as certainties. Some claim Meghan was there. Others deny it completely. Some insist Andrew was present. Others say it's an exaggeration. But what matters most today is how the story has suddenly landed in front of Harry, and how blindsided he reportedly feels by the intensity of the rumors. Sources claim Harry reacted with disbelief. Not anger toward Meghan, but shock that such stories existed at all, and that they were suddenly being weaponized by people eager to undermine him, Meghan, or the reputation they've been trying to build since stepping back from royal duties. In Montecito, where privacy is treasured, any story tied to Meghan's past has the potential to disrupt the couple's carefully built image. For Harry, who has defended Meghan fiercely against the press, the idea that old Hollywood rumors could be dragged into public conversation yet again must feel like a betrayal of the peace he's tried so hard to protect. The situation escalated further when a former yacht staffer, now making rounds online, hinted that Meghan had attended at least one elite yacht gathering where influential royal-adjacent individuals were also present. No proof was provided. No dates confirmed. But the mere mention of Andrew's name, after his years of controversy, was enough to send the internet into a frenzy. Even the suggestion that Meghan's world once collided with Andrew's is enough to ignite headlines. For Harry, who has distanced himself from Andrew publicly and privately, this connection is uncomfortable at best. But insiders say Harry isn't angry at Meghan, he's frustrated by the circumstantial, unverified stories that continue to haunt them. This latest rumor came at a fragile time for Harry. With ongoing tension between him and the royal family, the last thing he needs is yet another scandal dragging his wife into Andrew's orbit. For years, Meghan and Harry have worked tirelessly to differentiate themselves, morally, publicly, and reputationally, from Andrew's imploded standing. And yet, here we are, with new chatter linking Meghan's pre-royal life to environments Andrew once frequented. This entire situation raises deeper questions, not just about Meghan's past, but about why Harry reacts so deeply whenever stories like these reappear. Harry has always valued transparency. In his memoir, in interviews, and even in private conversations with friends, he has spoken about the trauma of discovering secrets too late. Growing up in a family where everything was tightly controlled and selectively disclosed created a lifelong sensitivity to withheld information. When it comes to Meghan, Harry has always insisted on full openness. That's why this sudden revelation, whether rumor or reality, hit him so hard. Because for Harry, even the hint that something might have been hidden can trigger old wounds. Then there's the Andrew factor. Harry has never been comfortable with Andrew's controversies, and distancing himself from Andrew has been one of his clearest moral stances. Having Meghan's name pulled into Andrew-adjacent rumor territory undermines the barrier Harry has tried to place between his family and the disgraced prince. Inside Montecito, Meghan is said to be frustrated as well. Not at Harry, but at the resurfacing of past events that she feels are unfairly exaggerated, misunderstood, or twisted into narratives that never existed. Her Hollywood acquaintances have long insisted that Meghan was strategic, ambitious, and sharp, not someone who drifted through random social events without purpose. This actually works in her defense. If Meghan did attend yacht gatherings, she did so for networking, not indulgence. But in the world of tabloids, nuance rarely matters. And so, Meghan now faces yet another wave of public curiosity about a chapter of her life she has long moved past. And Harry faces yet another moment where he must choose whether to confront the rumors, ignore them, or defend his wife publicly. Some insiders say Harry is quietly asking questions, not accusatory, but clarifying. He wants to understand the timeline, the circles, the connections, not because he doubts Meghan, but because he wants to know exactly what's being said and how to counter it. Others say Meghan has been reassuring him, explaining that the narrative is being twisted, that she never crossed paths with Andrew in any meaningful way, and certainly not in the illicit contexts being suggested. As the story continues to spread, royal watchers are divided. Some see this as yet another attempt to smear Meghan, using old Hollywood gossip to stir new controversy. Others believe Hollywood's yacht culture has always been a shadowy mix of truth and exaggeration, making it impossible to separate fact from fiction. What makes this moment different is that Harry is no longer the confident, protected prince who could brush off controversy with palace support. He's a man navigating global scrutiny with limited institutional backing. And every rumor now hits harder. Let's zoom out for a moment. Consider the bigger picture. Over the past several years, Meghan and Harry have built a narrative around independence, integrity, and transparency. Their brand is built on authenticity, creativity, and emotional truth. Any rumor suggesting hidden past connections, especially with someone as radioactive as Andrew, strikes at the center of that brand. And for critics of Meghan, this is a golden opportunity. They are weaving all kinds of narratives, linking her ambition with secret social circles and implying connections that may never have existed. They're framing her as someone who strategically inserted herself into elite worlds, using yachts and parties to climb the ladder. But people who knew Meghan before fame paint a different picture. They describe a woman trying to navigate Hollywood like anyone else, hustling for roles, meeting people, networking, attending events, taking opportunities when they appeared. Nothing sinister. Nothing unusual. Nothing connected to Andrew in any meaningful sense. So why is Harry stunned? Because the rumor resurfaced with enough force, enough detail, and enough sensational framing that even he, someone deeply skeptical of the media, had to take notice. What Harry reportedly found most unsettling wasn't Meghan's actions, but how convincingly the story was being twisted by commentators eager for a scandal. And here's the twist. The person who brought the rumor back into the spotlight wasn't a royal insider, but someone from Hollywood, someone who claimed to remember details from nearly 15 years ago. This resurfaced testimony ignited the discussion and forced Harry to confront a narrative he'd never heard before. Now, let's explore the emotional impact. Harry has spent years fighting for Meghan, against the tabloids, against the palace, against the public. Every time a rumor surfaces, he jumps into protective mode. But this time, the rumor was different. It involved his family's darkest scandal. It threatened to drag Meghan into the orbit of a royal he deeply resents. For Harry, the emotional weight wasn't about Meghan's actions, it was about the association itself. Imagine being Harry. Imagine discovering that someone somewhere is trying to build a bridge between your wife's early Hollywood life and the man whose scandals nearly destroyed the monarchy. It would feel like an attack on your marriage, your loyalty, and the life you've built. That's why insiders say Harry reacted so strongly, not out of suspicion, but out of fear of how the narrative could be weaponized. As of right now, no concrete evidence ties Meghan to Andrew in any meaningful way. The story remains a rumor, a sensationalized, exaggerated narrative fueled by social media and opportunistic commentators. But even rumors can shape public perception. And that's what Harry is fighting against. Will the couple make a public statement? Probably not. They rarely respond to gossip unless it spirals completely out of control. Meghan, especially, prefers to move forward quietly rather than re-engage with controversies from her past. Harry, though emotional, has learned that responding publicly doesn't always help. Instead, they are likely strengthening their inner circle, analyzing the rumor's origin, and preparing to move past it without giving it more oxygen. In the end, this story reveals far more about the media's obsession with Meghan than it does about Meghan herself. It shows how quickly old rumors can be revived and repackaged into new scandals. It shows how eager some are to connect Meghan to any royal controversy, no matter how far-fetched. And it shows how Harry, already weary from years of battles, continues to face new emotional shocks as the couple's pasts are dragged into the spotlight again and again. But one thing is certain. Harry's loyalty to Meghan hasn't wavered. If anything, the resurfaced yacht rumors have pushed him further into protective mode, reinforcing his determination to stand by her regardless of what the media invents next. The royal world may be buzzing, the tabloids may be swirling, and Harry may indeed be stunned, but this latest chapter reminds us of a larger truth. The war between Meghan, Harry, and the media is far from over. Every new rumor becomes ammunition. Every resurfaced story becomes a headline, and every attempt to undermine their relationship only strengthens their resolve to face the world together. This story is still developing, and as new whispers emerge, the spotlight on Meghan grows hotter. But one thing remains clear: the couple's future will depend not on the storms around them, but on how they weather those storms, together.